and let us all do we can to build a better future. I have somebody joining us. Well, gee, kid, who are you bringing on board? Well, let's bring in our guest. The person I'm bringing on board did some fabulous groundwork in Maui, Hawaii. Now, we may not agree on pizza, but I will tell you this. I recently had a phone conversation with him, and he's putting together an outstanding video documentary about his time there in Maui. And I wanted him to give an exclusive shout out and coverage of what he's doing. So give it up for the man, the legend, and a good friend, a fellow Italian, Craig Pasta Jardula. He called me. This man here should be canceled because he called me on his phone and he had a friend there and they were eating pizza and they were talking smack about Chicago. And as I cried, they were laughing. This is abuse. I'm calling you out. I'm canceling you.
I had some Sicilian pizza this weekend. Real Sicilian pizza, not like the casserole you guys have in Chicago. And man, it was good. Just want to point that out.
Do you hear this hate speech, audience? This is on par, worse than anything said by the Third Reich.
Dude, you said several times in the conversation, so the audience know, he has to clarify Chicago style, in that kid voice style.
Yeah, Chicago style.
It ain't pizza. It's a nice thing. It's a fun thing. It's a traditional thing for you people, but it ain't pizza. That's all we're saying.
Whoa. What do you mean, you people?
Chicagoans.
Oh, all right. I see. We must fit a profile, huh?
Not so much you South Siders, right? The South Side's got that thin style pizza. When you got to say style.
Good to have you
already
on,
lost the argument. This particular pizza I had this week was a Sicilian pie, which is nice, a thick one, right? But it's not doughy. It's not casserole. What they do is they take about 2 pieces of dough and they put it together. For like one normal pizza, they put the dough together for two pieces of dough together and make it into a square, bake it off in the oven, pull it out so it's already, and let it sit for a while, let it get a nice good texture. Then they put sauce and cheese on it and bake it back in the oven when they're ready to serve it. And this particular one had nice sliced pepperoni, jalapeno, a drizzle of hot sauce, and listen to this, kit, hot honey. So it had this like spiciness and beautiful sweetness and the perfect texture. I researched this one. This place is called Sal's, considered to have some of the best pizza in the OC. I was in the OC this weekend. So
you're in the real OC. Well, see, the thing is, Pasta, you fell for my trap card because here's the thing. I wanted to talk about pizza because, first of all, one, what you described is making me hungry. And also, we have a Jersey girl who's saying that cheese was pasta. All right. So there you go. But I just want to bring this up here because I want to play a video because you're congratulated and it has to deal with pizza, but also with the great people in Maui. First of all, this is a thank you by this gentleman here, because this is a good segue to talk about the work that you did in Maui. And I like to hear this person's story as well. I know you talked about it on the Jimmy Dore show, but let's listen to this man's story. And again, folks, if you're not following Pasta and his work, he's an independent reporter and a journalist who's done phenomenal work in Central and South America. And while we joke back and forth, I respect this man.
Pasta, my brother, how you doing? I want to thank you and Jimmy and your game down there for putting our story on the show, because I know you put it on Friday, I believe, early morning, about 1:30 our time here. I started getting all these notifications from Venmo, like 25. And then the next day, about 3 o'clock in the morning, I got another 25 to 30. And this morning, I got another 25 to 30. So overall, I got like over 100 people Venmoing me money to donate to the people in need over here in Lahaina. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have any of that. So it's been around $6,000 so far, John. So thank you, viewers, for doing that. It's much appreciated. And thank you, Jimmy and gang down there, for doing that too. When I show my appreciation, I want to get you one of these shirts. So send me your address, and I'll send you a bunch of shirts. Just let me know what size. God bless you. Aloha. Hope to see you again soon.
First of all, number one, I would like a shirt too. So if you can give me an extra large one, I would be very appreciative of it, Pasta, if you could put in a good word for me. And then number two, who is this individual? Who is this gentleman? Can you please tell it to our viewers and subscribers?
His name is David Mello or Dave Mello. Aloha. And
Aloha
that's why I
to
wore
him
the
too.
shirt today. I wore the shirt today because this is the shirt I bought in I bought a used shirt in a thrift shop in Maui. This is my Hawaiian shirt when I got there. But his name is Dave Mello, and he actually owns the Round Table Pizza in Lahaina. He has another one on the other part of the island, but this one in Lahaina he owns. And he was giving away free pizzas, free sodas, free bread, free whatever he had in his place, because he was just outside the fire zone where everything was okay and it was still open. So yeah, he was just an amazing guy. And when I got there, he, like I said, his cash register was closed, but he had a tip jar where you could throw cash in, or you had a Venmo in which you can give him money. And then he was taking that money and giving it back to the community. A 500 here, a 700 there, a 600 there. Mostly the family and friends that he knew, and he knows the community because he's got a pizzeria for quite some time that's been there. So he's just one of those guys who showed me, and I was there, witnessed him giving away the pizzas and all that other stuff. So I just witnessed him like I witnessed the other two mutual aid camps, these guys giving back to the community. And it was one of the things I wanted to accomplish when I went there, was find direct donate links to people like this where they can go and they can give money. Now, the one we did the other day, Canoe Beach, the first one we showed was Hanakauai Beach. And they had been, had the luxury of having Rebel News promote their stuff. So they had already had close to 40,000 in their account. There was another beach about a mile up the road from Hanakauai Beach called Canoe Beach or Pahaku. And they had their account up for maybe 2 weeks plus or something. Had barely any money in it, like close to $5,000. On the Jimmy Dore show, we played it. We played their clip. We then had a rerun, obviously, played their rerun clip. Well, you know how you have a big thing, then you condense it down to smaller clips. Well, after that smaller clips, they've raised now close to over $40,000.
Are you kidding me?
It was all Jimmy Dore fans. Just people going, hey, saw Craig on Jimmy Dore. Here's some money here. You know what I'm saying? They got some $1,000 donors in there, $2,000, over $40,000, kid. So by using Jimmy Dore's big megaphone that he gave me the opportunity to use, I've been able to raise some decent money directly for the people of Lahaina. And nothing feels better, despite all the trauma and the pain they're facing. And this, like I said, in my reporting, and I will kind of reiterate this in my documentary that's coming up a week from this Friday on the 29th. We haven't had the release dates and exactly where we're going to release it from. More than likely, it's going to go for my personal YouTube page that I just started promoting, Craig Pasta Jardula. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. Is it up now already so that people can go to it?
The video is not up. The video will be up on the 29th, but the YouTube page is up. It's been up. I have some interviews from Kennedy people in an event, and I'm going to be putting up a lot of other stuff on this channel as far as the extra work I've done, including this video. It's called Lahaina on Fire, the Aftermath Volume 1. I'm calling it that because I plan on going back. I don't know if I'm supposed to go to Argentina next month for their election, and I don't know if I'm going to go to Argentina, which I desperately want. Excuse me, but I think that it's going to also be necessary to return to Lahaina because I was there 3 weeks after the fire, and even though that might seem like you're getting there late, it was still early because people had at that moment were still facing a lot of trauma and they weren't ready to talk. Nor had they dealt with this thing straight on, and they kind of masked their issues and their trauma behind their subconscious and have just jumped into the whole helping of the aid process. So this story is not over. James O'Keefe just showed up there recently on the island. He's highlighting the fact that there's a lack of transparency, something we talked about when we were there, the tweets I made. But I got something good in the chamber. And I'm going to be able to show you the kit on the 29th. I'm going to be really, really proud of this this video. I brought a camera guy with me. And the money I raised for that, too, I just put up my PayPal, my Venmo, my Cash App. And I raised enough money to get me a camera guy there, pay him per diem. Now I just got to pay him for the post-production. So we'll do some money. We'll raise some money there on the night of the film for anybody who wants to donate. But that money we're going to raise is also going to go towards the fund to get me back there. And I think people are going to see after this work, they're going to want me back on the ground over there. because I I do my due diligence. I talk to the people, I talk to the citizens, I talk to the people of Lahaina directly, so I get their stories. So in my video, you're going to get a direct feel on how they actually feel.
All right, so look, this is where you can find Pasta on social media. Look, folks, I've known Greg since what, 2017 we started talking, and since then we built a great collaboration and working relationship, and you've been on the front line and someone that I look up to. And look, you said I inspired you. Well, it's vice versa too, because you have also inspired me to try and be better and to do more, and I want to help promote this documentary video. I'll ask you, obviously we're live on air, but if I could play just a few short excerpts from it when it does premiere, I would definitely like to give my thoughts on it. I would like to post a link to this and share it throughout all social media, because we cannot forget what happened to Lahaina. I mean, for Christ's sakes, the people have lost everything. These are U.S. citizens whose communities have been destroyed, their homes burnt, their loved ones burnt to a cinder. I've said that numerous times, but that's what happened. And what? They only get $700, and then they get repeatedly harassed by venture capitalists. Oops, sorry, I said it wrong. Vulture capitalists trying to steal their land. We have a corrupt state, local and federal officials. You have Joe Biden regaling the people about how he almost lost his house, his car, his cat, his wife for a fire that only lasted 5 minutes. I mean, how much more can a person go through? These people in Lahaina, in Maui, have lost everything. And then we have the audacity of celebrities like Oprah and The Rock telling us to donate money, whereas you do this little fundraiser, you do this thing, and you're doing more work than Oprah and The Rock combined, who are both, again, respectively, have millions upon millions, Oprah herself having billions of dollars. I mean, it's downright pathetic. So when we see this video, I don't want you to give too much away for the documentary, but what should our audiences be prepared for? Because it's one thing to see the videos, be it presented by corporate media or somebody on the ground, but you're talking to people. How much of an emotional impact are we about to get from this? Because I know this is just volume 1, and you're going to go back there, but the emotions must be raw and difficult to sit through.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, it's tough. People who've just lost everything. Can you imagine leaving one day your house where your grandpa lived or your great grandpa lived? It's been in your house for generations. Lahaina was with the capital of Hawaii before the colonization of the United States. So
really, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. This Lahaina was it. So this, you'll see some from the horse's mouth. Some of the people who are talking, it's like, Lahaina, everybody knows everybody. They would sell fish on the streets, vegetables on the streets. It was simple living. And now it's all gone in one fell swoop. Just imagine leaving your house one day and then not being able to go back into your neighborhood because it's blocked off. And then you can't go in there. They tell you can't go into the burn zone because everything is lost, and you can't even find any closure. And the lack of transparency, the lack of telling the truth from why the situations are the way they are. I know a lot of people went there, Kent, and they wanted to be a gotcha journalist and figure out how this fire started. Some people say lasers, some people say Space Mountain laser, some people say direct energy weapons. Some people, which the one I'm a little bit more kind of like questioning, and the one that seems more logical to me is the one that there were these crazy hurricane winds. So when people talk about weather manipulation, that's more likely to be, one of the issues is weather manipulation. So I mean, but anyways, the conditions were created and caused. In other words, they had this grass that wasn't indigenous to Maui. That's something I learned about Maui. Maui has all these things that aren't indigenous to the island. They brought mongoose there years ago to try to get rid of the rat problem. Oops, only one problem, Kit. It's a day mongoose and a night rat, but at least there's no snakes there, right? We also, I threw some food in there. I got a little Anthony Bourdain. I had some coconuts. We went and saw the coconut guy. But I mean,
I just want to say, to you and enjoying coconuts, I could not do that because I'm allergic to tree nuts. So how does coconut taste?
Well, you have a little piece of the coconut to taste. It's mostly about drinking that water, and that water is pure.
And
dude, Jimmy's got some fans out there. I was able, there was a couple people that I was able to meet out there that, just hit me up on Instagram. I got to tell you, and if I didn't hit you back on Instagram, it's just that my life has been so crazy and so overwhelming trying to make sure that I'll be doing the next 6 Jimmy Dore shows here. And so I got my big.
I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. Hey, represent us Italians, okay? It's about time.
I do. Well, not only that, I represent us independent journalists that kind of started off. And this is like I look at this. It's team effort here. Like I wouldn't have had this if it wasn't for you, if it wasn't for all those guys at INN and Indie Media, all those guys in the chat that I yelled at, get pissed off at. I love you all. I love so many people who supported me over the years. It's a team effort. It really does. I feel like I'm in that seat because of everybody else who stood behind small independent journalists that said, hey, man, you might not have a lot of money, you might not have a resource, but you're doing a kick-ass job, and we appreciate that. So I'm where I'm at. I'm exactly where I want to be, working with Kim, working with Jimmy. Well, going on Kim a lot. I'm not necessarily working on her, but she provides her platform for me. I'm good friends with these people. I love it. I love what I'm doing. And the fact that everybody got my ass to Lahaina. This is going to be some great work you guys are going to see. I picked a great camera guy that I met at Rebels for a Cause. And, I mean, it's going to be some really great work. I'm glad I went. I'm glad you guys put me in a position to go.
All right. I'm actually after this live stream show because I do want you to stay on board for another segment that I want to cover. Because I figure, hey, if we're going to do a 2-hour show, I want you to help me curb stop somebody, but I'll save that surprise bet at the end. But look, I definitely want to private message you and talk how much more we can further collaborate because this message needs to get out. And again, folks, independent media, all of you are making it happen, and we're trying to do all the work we can to do the job that obviously our mainstream neoliberal media will never do. And with going to Maui and seeing the overall challenge that a lot of those people have to go through, it's one thing to say these words, and again, what I'm going to say doesn't matter because actions matter more. But I feel so very sorry for them and how they've been abandoned. I don't think we've seen callousness before by our politicians, and there are numerous dead canaries in the coal mine. But Maui it's resonating in my mind because the people were burnt alive. This is the deadliest wildfire in U.S. history. There are people still missing. There's no closure. When you were on the ground there, I think I asked you this before, but I think it's only fair to ask this again. Is there a hope that maybe against these astronomical odds of corporate greed and sociopathic politicians, is there hope unseen? Is there somewhere where there's a light at the end of the tunnel where the people of Maui can actually get justice and those who have failed them are held accountable? I know that's a controversial thing to say, Pasta, but come on, there has to be some justice, bounds of reason here, because how much more can a person go through?
Well, I will tell you this much, and you'll see in the interview, some of the people said that last guy I played, David Mello, he even says, his wife says, and a little sneak peek, I've never seen a community come together like this. Either have I. And that's amazing too, as well. So the fact that they've pulled together, like I said, the indigenous, the locals, the Hollies, all of them, and just said, let's take care of each other. That does provide some hope for the future. But once again, it's not a quick fix, Kit. I've been said about some of these people who show up and think that they're going to discover something that's going to blow the case right over. No, this is going to play out as pertaining to whether these people will ever be able to return to their area where the house once was. This is going to play out over the next 3 years in the courts and the city councils and the public meetings. It's going to be a fight. And, if you can run out the clock for quite some time, unfortunately, people aren't going to be able to just hang around for 3 years until they start breaking ground. And that's about the average time they're thinking until we can start breaking ground in these areas. It looks like a war zone still. Yeah. I mean, somebody told me who's a crisis lawyer who's dealt with this. He says the earliest they'll be able to eventually break ground after the whole cleanup process, after the rezoning, after the whole new infrastructure. And you better believe, this is something that people are a lot concerned about. That new infrastructure is going to be that of a 15-minute city. You know what I'm saying? It's going to, the governor, Josh Green, was the keynote speaker at the UN for smart, sustainable cities. And that was just 3 months before the fire, under 3 months it might have been. He also signed an emergency order, which gives him a lot of power, and like I played that clip the other day on Jimmy's show, with Joe Rogan and Tulsi, the good Tulsi, I said, Tulsi's bringing a lot of attention to this. I'm very glad she went on Rogan, but she had went,
I'm
she
glad
went
she
that
did
kind
that
of
too.
note, what?
I said I'm glad she did that too, because again,
Me too.
She was one of the few people, former politicians, actually to be there on the ground and actually highlight these community centers where people are actually helping out people. Where are our institutions at? Nowhere, I guess. Continue. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, brother.
No, I mean, I'm glad she did do that. But, talking to people about this and whatnot, and the governor saying with Tulsi talked about it on Joe Rogan. Joe was like, couldn't believe it. The governor talking about confiscating the land right away to build a memorial, maybe move them over to the Big Island, which is kind of like, oh, get the hell out of here. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. I noticed right away the first things we had to do was keep the people of Lahaina in Lahaina. That's why we had to pump mutual aid right into their hands. We have to stop the bleeding because it seems like that's what they want, a form of organized gentrification, is the word I've been using, because it seems like it's gone together harmoniously. Everybody's being quiet. There's no answers on why this started. There's no official answers. There's no official answers on why there was such a breakdown during the crisis, which we highlight, the lack of water, the no warning, the no sounds. The cops keep people in. We highlight that. We have the citizens of Lahaina tell you themselves what they witnessed on that day. But then the lack of transparency moving forward on who these state officials are invested in, like Josh Green being invested in the UN. You know what I'm saying? What are the other global entities? And they have the right to know this because they want to know what their course is going to be like moving forward. And that's why I'm going to have to stay on this for quite some time. We can't just go away. We're going to have to continue to peek in, listen. We're going to need local journalists there to pick up these stories and us to echo them. So when I go back, I know some activists there already, but I also going to look for some journalists too as well, local journalists, to keep us plugged in, what they're doing on the ground, how they're moving things around, when the rezoning happens, how the people of Lahaina could stay there. It's going to be a fight. It's going to be a battle. But let me tell you this much. I was having an interview with one of the activists there. Her name is Tina Leah. And she's actually been one of the local activists that's been doing a lot of reporting, has a great Substack on the mosquitoes, the Bill Gates mosquitoes, the ones that they're using and infecting and setting out because they say it's going to help their bird population. But she's been doing some studying on the water. And I had an interview with her, and she was kind of going over the woes of the water because there's a lot of questionable things over there. There had been a fight for indigenous farmers in certain areas near Lahaina, not too far, that were fighting to get water that had been diverted away from them and into the golf courses and into the ritzier areas. And I think they said that their paperwork had to be turned in a day before the fire actually had happened. So there's like some questionable things. Like I said, there's so many coincidences, and we'll expose this through the movie, and you'll see. When I had the interview with her, I had this kind of negative attitude that it's going to be 3 years and people aren't going to be hanging in by then. No, she was like, we're going to win this. And then there's another guy, Kelly, who I interviewed, who's just a Holly, who actually gave me a lot of insight to Canoe Beach. And it's a little small white Irish guy that's been living in Maui that goes on a unicycle up and down the freeway that goes right next to Lahaina. He even said, no, the people I know, they're going to dig their heels in and fight. So if the United States government thinks they're just going to push these people of Lahaina off their land very easy, they got another thing coming. This is a fight they haven't had before, and these people are going to dig their heels in. They were meeting in a community. They're working together. So I have hope that they can do something. At least some of the people from Lahaina can stay behind and keep that tradition. And I think that a lot lot of people want the place to go back to the way it was. Simple living. They don't want a far 15-minute city, but they're afraid that's the plan for them.
Listen, man. First of all, I can't wait for this video to come out. So September 29th is the potential due date of when it's supposed to be released, correct? Yeah. Or am I overshooting?
And I think it's going to get done. The camera guy I brought with me is really on top of his shit. He's a great editor.
Good. Great. Fantastic. So look, everyone, I'm going to make a demand for my audience because I will be retweeting it, sharing it on all of the Heartlands Media social media accounts. We need to make this video go viral. We need to make sure that more people are brought to attention to it. I know we have this thing called blurring effect, and once there's a tragedy, people talk about, then forget it. And then we move on to the next tragedy. Well, first of all, we can't forget this because I think it's done. No more. The politicians have revealed their hand. They showed us what they really think about us, and they don't like us. They don't think about us. They don't respect us. So I'm asking all of you when this video comes out, because I'm going to share it. I'm going to give it a view. I'm going to like it. I'm going to share it on all my social media accounts. I think it's important that we talk about this story and make it go viral. We cannot forget Maui because, one, they're U.S. citizens, and two, if these politicians are willing to screw over all those people, and we've seen it before, they're going to do it to us. Enough is enough. And so please support Craig's work. Follow him on social media. Help him out. Again, we're happy to collaborate with him, and he's representing all of independent media very well. And this is what I'm talking about: free speech and fighting truth to power. Speaking truth to power. Stuttered on that one. But nonetheless, well, we may not agree on pizza, buddy. But hold on. We may not agree on pizza because I'm going to give you the final word. We can put aside our differences to fight for that better future. And I would like a T-shirt from that gentleman there too. So
we will get it. Yeah. And listen,
okay, good.
You're a Pequods guy, right?
No. I mean, I will go there. I don't want to say anything, because they're good business, right? But, there are other Chicago pizzerias. Everything's great. I don't want to be bad mouthing anybody. I will put
What's the best Chicago style pizza then that you like? Not Lou Molinati's?
Lou, I was going to say Lou Molinati's. Yeah.
Really? Lou is better than Pequod's, better than Giordano's?
Well, there's Gino's East. There's, oh my God, there's so many. There's Giordano's. Giordano's is good.
We need to pick one so that when we can go, we can invite people to come meet us there and go have some Chicago style pizza.
Chicago style. You're saying it incorrectly. That's pretty offensive in like 5 different ways. Chicago style. Chicago style. You gotta let it roll off your tongue. Chicago style. You gotta bring some pizzazz to it.
Really quickly, though, before we get on to pizza, I just want to make sure that I put a bow on the whole situation, that why it's really important to pay attention to what's going on in Lahaina, just like they did in New Orleans. And there was a lot of, accusations that there was parts of the dam that were busted on purpose to go flood the poor areas out, not the rich areas. And therefore, nobody paid attention to their story moving forward, that there was a decent amount of gentrification that went on. Same thing that looks like it's taking place in Lahaina, where they're pushing people out. Now they have a tragedy. Who knows who started the tragedy? But there's the apparatus when a tragedy happens. The mechanism is already in place to go on in there and take, especially when it's prime areas like Maui and Lahaina. It could happen anywhere, Kit. It could happen on a big scale or larger scale. Maybe in Chicago, they flood some areas out. Who knows? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
who knows? It can happen anywhere. It can happen anywhere.
It has happened in
certain
Chicago. Areas.
What's that?
It has happened in Chicago, not in the ways of major environmental disasters, but far more insidious, be it through gentrification, police brutality, the shutting down of schools, and putting heavy industrial polluters in the South and West Side neighborhoods, predominantly African-American Latino communities, polluting the air, the soil, the water, lead in our drinking water. So there has been displacement here, not as far devastating as what we saw in New Orleans or in Lahaina. But it has happened here in my city, and it's still ongoing, even under Brandon Johnson's administration. Happened under Lightfoot, happened on the Rahm. Geez, Rahm turned it to 11. But yeah, it's ongoing, and we need to be covering it and talking about it and standing up against these bastards, man. That's what we got to do. I want to give you the final word. Yeah.
Well, and all the people, like I said, that I spoke to, some of the things that really upset them was the fact that they feel that the numbers being downplayed as far as people who are dead. You know what I'm saying? They think it's over thousands. A lot of people, most of the people there, they were like, that's bullshit. But they all mention Ukraine. And this week, Zelensky comes to the White House, and he's going to ask for $24 more billion. You know what I'm saying? And they should be giving that money instead of to fucking Zelensky, who's a cokehead actor. He's not a real fucking leader, despite them having him on 60 Minutes and putting him in the green shirt like he's a warrior guy. No, he's a jerk off.
Yeah.
They keep giving that money to the people of Lahaina, the people of East Palestine, and the people of Flint. Those three right there. Boom, boom, boom. I mean, there's tragedies everywhere, but right there, from what we learned from independent media, from the things they have done, those three areas, Lahaina, East Palestine, Flint, let's give them the money instead of some clown that's going to go off and just make sure that people die. He's just the puppet of an oligarch over there, and it's disgusting that all our politicians are in on it. They're okay. Mm-hmm. We have to work. We have to count on populist Republicans like Matt Gaetz and Anna Paulina or Aguilar or whatever her name is, and Marjorie Taylor Greene to go, okay, we're not going to approve the budget if you keep sending money to the Ukraine. Where the hell is the fraud squad? It's terrible.
Oh, well, they're on a cover of Vanity Fair. How dare you?
Yeah, sorry, my bad.
It's fine. It's fine, and that's a perfect note to end it on, folks. Support Craig's work. Follow him on social media. Please do that.